This is Money Moves on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Lots to get to here in hour 2 of Money Moves on VSiN, the sports betting network. Sirius XM channel 158 alongside Jonathan Von Tobel. Stormy, Buonantony with you. We're live in downtown Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino. We will talk plenty of Major League Baseball this segment and the next. We also have Scott Reichel, co-host of the NBA Gambling Podcast, going to help us break down a couple Game 2s coming up tonight. Road dogs have been fruitful. Will that continue into tonight? We will break it all down in best bets, of course, as we always do at the end of the hour. But we do have one MLB game in action, a couple that are set to get underway here in a few minutes. So let's start with the Nationals being up 3-0 on the Cleveland Guardians today. And the market was moving against Cleveland to start here, despite them being a favorite. Logan Allen touched up a little bit here, 3 earned runs on 6 hits.
Yeah, that's kind of what we were talking about. I was like, Allen isn't really that great, so you can kind of understand maybe wanting to go against him. Was there a point where maybe the market was going a little too far? Soroka's not really everything's cracked up to be, but this lineup for Cleveland not doing very well. 4 innings pitched for Soroka. He's only allowed 2 hits. He has struck out 6 and walked 1. So not only has Washington early on touched up Allen, but this Guardians lineup is non-existent right now.
Yeah, you could have gotten Washington as high as plus 115. They're now minus 660 on the money line, laying 3.5 on the in-game run line. Let's look ahead to 2 games that are set to get underway shortly. Astros, Brewers, and Pirates, Cardinals. So you did want to say, we talked about Paul Skeens' day yesterday and the market moving against the Pirates. Skeens gave up 2 runs on 3 hits in 6 innings, has 6 strikeouts. Wasn't enough as the Pirates lose 2-1, extending their losing streak now to 6 games. They've lost 9 of the last 10, and Paul Skeens on the hill is 3-4 as a starter.
Yep. I mean, it goes back to what we talked about. I mean, obviously pitching, you can only do so much, and there's different ways you can bet Paul Skeens, but you're getting into some of these inflated numbers. We should also note, he wasn't perfect. He walked 4 yesterday, so, but this is the danger, and I thought Adam brought up a great point when we talked about this, which was the vibes are just awful for Pittsburgh. Seriously, they absolutely suck. The ownership stinks. They're not investing in the team. Fans don't go to the games anymore. You have all of these guys pitching and playing the way that Paul Skeens does. There's all these bright spots on the roster, and yet there's really no investment in it whatsoever. So there's just terrible vibes all the way around. This team stinks.
I saw somebody tweet those on-pace numbers. Pirates on pace to be 53 and 109 based on their current trajectory. That said, is plus 154 maybe a little too high for them today? Mitch Keller on the hill for them against Sonny Gray in the Cardinals. St. Louis minus 185 on the money line. Run total here 7.5.
I mean,
price-wise, is that a little too much?
I think you can maybe make the argument, especially if you're looking at it from the perspective of Keller giving them an opportunity. 4.38 ERA for Keller over 39 innings, but the 3.83 fielding independent makes you paint a little bit more of a positive picture. The contact numbers aren't terrible at all. He's not giving up a ton of hard contact, so it's not like he's going out there and getting smoked. He's not going to generate a lot of swings and misses, and he's going to give up some contact, get his defense involved, but I don't think that there's anything that would make me run to go and back Keller. Gray's been pitching just fine, but I don't think that there's anything that would make me want to sweat through something. Doug Kazarian always says it, which is, it might be the play, but do you really want to watch it and sweat it and worry about it? And I would say, nah, I'm good.
Astros, Brewers, Framber, Valdez on the hill. The Stros laying minus 130 on the road. Run total 7.5. Anything stand out to you in that one? Again, these games set to get underway the next 10, 15 minutes.
No, I haven't seen a lot of Priester, I believe is how you say his last name, for the Milwaukee Brewers. So I haven't really had a good read on him. Now, I can look at the profile and tell you that he has not pitched particularly well over 23 1/3, so it's not like I'm running out together and try to find out of whether or not he can bounce back. And Framber Valdez is off to a pretty rough start, but a guy that pitches to contact like this, I think he can bounce back. The underlying metrics would paint a little bit more of a positive picture. ERA is about 4.5, just under that, but a FIP of 379, the expected fielding independent of about 360. Framber can probably come out here, give you a little bit more of a better effort than what his surface numbers would tell you, and put the Astros in position against a really weak pitcher to potentially get this thing done. So we saw this, like you said, open $1.35 or still ping-ponging around that price, maybe getting a little bit cheaper. I don't think there was any big edge whatsoever. Thought it was accurately priced here.
Also, want to give a quick shout out to Steve Fezzik, great friend of the network here at VSiN, for shooting me a text just now. As I mentioned, the projected numbers for the Pittsburgh Pirates. If you look around and you have those sports books that are at your disposal that have the updated season wins, there's a 65.5 available there on the Pirates if you are interested in a potential under there based on their current numbers. Let's get into the NBA. We mentioned last segment in Why Not Wednesday that Steph Curry for the Golden State Warriors has been ruled out for Game 2 against the Minnesota Timberwolves, has a grade 1 hamstring strain that knocked him out of the game yesterday in the second quarter at 13 points in 13 minutes and never to be seen from again. That said, Golden State was able to get the win on the road by double digits. What do you make of the next game here in this series and moving forward?
I mean, the initial thought would just be, they can't shoot that bad again, can they? Which would be Minnesota. One would think that is the case. You'd also would expect a slightly better, just focused effort. And I know that's always the thought, like, hey, you lose. But what I mean by that is, you watched last night and you saw multiple times where like Ant would go to the rim and he wouldn't get a call. And so you would freak out instead of either getting back on defense or maybe trying to get a second chance opportunity, you're still chirping at the official, whatever it is. So maybe after an effort like this, you get a slightly more focused effort when it comes to just the little things, not really buying into or getting distracted by the big difference there. The three-point shooting for Golden State, does that manifest yet again? That was the big part about yesterday too. How about Draymond Green going 6 of 13 from the floor, 4 of 10 from three-point range? I think he started 4 of 5. So, that's going to be something where I don't think that's going to happen again in terms of three-point shooting again. Buddy Hield shows up in a really big way. So, some natural regression in terms of the shooting for both teams gets you a little bit closer to the middle. And again, these non-Curry numbers are just, they're not good. Yeah. And so one would expect that over the course of another game and another 100 possessions without him, that those would start to manifest a little bit more.
If you do like the Timberwolves in the series, Timberwolves in 6, around 4-1 the price there, in 5 plus 325. And you mentioned, the shooting performance for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Anthony Edwards, quiet night, particularly in the first half, 0 of 8 from the floor in the first half, just 1 point. Also 1 of 5 from 3 for him as an individual. Did come alive in the second half, scoring 22 of his 23 points. But his coach called him out after the game, challenging his star to be better. Here's Chris Finch.
What is there to talk about? I mean, you're the leader of the team, and you got to come out and set the tone, in all ways that happens. And if your shot's not going, you still have to carry the energy, So, I don't think there's, if I got to talk to guys about having the right energy coming into opening second round game, then, we're not on the same page. So
I feel like the kind of pride that Anthony Edwards has, he'll hear that from a coach and not be mad. He'll use that as fuel and motivation. I
mean, and look, you saw some of for example, they took 40% of their shots within 4 feet of the basket. They got 32 shot attempts at the rim yesterday. That's a really high volume, but they shot 53%. Shots at the rim should not be coin flips. You should be able to shoot well over 60% when you get to the rim. So one would think against a smaller team that advantage is still going to be there. So if you expect maybe a little bit more regression in terms of shots within 4 feet, you're probably going to have a better offensive effort. Like he's talking about, the ability to just stay focused and not worry about the officiating as much. That should really help you out in that regard. And just the natural regression from beyond the arc too, not shooting 17% and over the last 2 games on over 70 shot attempts from beyond the arc, shooting just 12%? Is that what we talked about? Whatever the number was. That's an unworldly number for the last 2 games for Minnesota, given what we know, how well we know they can shoot.
15%, 12 of 76 from 3 their last 2 games. Again, Steph Curry out for Game 2 and at least a week based on the latest report from Shams Charania of ESPN. We do have an injury update for tonight when it comes to this Knicks-Celtics game. Boston, a 10.5 point home favorite in this one, looking to bounce back from the Game 1 loss. Porzingis probable, it looks like, after having it to exit the last game. And can I just say real quickly, from a betting perspective, we as a public, and I don't mean like we and us and a lot of our listeners, but people on social media requesting refunds for any time somebody gets injured in a game. It's every time that we see this, especially in the NBA. Come on, DraftKings, help us out, give us our money back. But there are people that you can bet the under too. That's allowed.
Well, that's starting to disappear. No, I mean, look, I generally agree with that premise. It is pretty funny when you see somebody go down and immediately the tweets start. Or what I saw today was because
does it suck? Yeah, but that's gambling.
Fanatics is one that does it a lot, and so you see a bunch of people retweeting it and saying I'm going to shame these other books until this is the industry standard. I guess. but it should be part of everything that you do. But it's always going to be the case. When sports gambling becomes a little bit more widespread and people that aren't really used to losing money and maybe even bet beyond their means in certain instances, you're going to get burned. You shouldn't be betting beyond your means, but I think that is not going to go anywhere anytime soon.
So obviously this Celtics team let their foot off the gas and didn't they did not play their best in the first half, yet had a monster lead. That lead was out as high as 20. And then, none of their 3-point shots were falling. That's a part of their identity and what they do. They're not going to stop shooting threes. Probably not going to shoot that many, but more of them fall tonight, you think? 10.5 point favorite, total to 10.5?
It's just, I think it's logic here. They generated 24 uncontested 3-point
Yeah, the
looks.
uncontested numbers are what really stand out.
So 6 feet or farther away. We're talking about like this distance between you and me, and my shot's already up. Like, that's a very open look. You would assume that is going to be, if you can generate those again, which, by the way, they did at a very high level in the regular season. That was actually exactly what happened in the regular season against New York. Then if you're going to be able to continue to generate those, the results should be very different here against New York.
You want to check out First Bet for me?
No, but I think our audience should. How about that? New users over at First Bet, how about this? Can get a $200 sign-up bonus when they use a promo code VSIN200. You can sign up now. Take your betting to the next level. Whether it's Santa Anita, Gulfstream, or the road to the Triple Crown, sign up at firstbet.com. Promo code VSIN200, 20% rebate on all your wagers for the first 60 days up to $200. Bet smarter today at firstbet.com.
Although disappointing, you won't get to bet sovereignty in the next leg of the Triple Crown.
This generation.
What? Isn't that the whole point?
Soft.
It's the whole point. Okay, we're going to take a quick timeout. We'll get back to the NBA in about 15 minutes with Scott Reichel. But on the other end of this timeout, MLB 15-game slate coming at you.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSIN, the Sports Betting Network.
Today's MLB slate already in action as we welcome you back here to Money Moves on VSIN, the Sports Betting Network. He's Jonathan Von Tobel. I'm Stormy Buonantony. The Nationals up 3-0 on the Cleveland Guardians right now. Astros Brewers officially underway. Scoreless there early. And then we discussed last segment the Pirates and Cardinals. Sonny Gray versus Mitch Keller. The Pirates plus 140 dogs. So they've taken a little bit of money now. Some people we're buying in on that bigger price on the Pirates. Run total sitting at 7.5. That game about to get underway. Let's look ahead to some of the other action that's still to come. I know one game you had interest in was the Giants and Cubs, which, hey, Verlander got some run support yesterday.
Good.
This was, for anyone who didn't watch this game, the Giants were in control throughout. Thought for a second they're going to mess it up again after Chicago scores 2 runs in the bottom of the 9th. We go to extra innings, but no, they had his back, put up a 9 spot in the 11th,
As we all
and
expected.
Verlander finally gets a win.
9 runs in the top of the 11th.
Crazy.
Absolutely insane. Baseball also can be very stupid. Are you a Giants person, by the way? Are you
No, Padres.
Okay, all right. Because you're a 49ers person, correct?
I am, yeah.
Okay.
My allegiances are all over the
That's
board.
fine. I was just curious.
But I lived in San Diego for so long that the Padres have become my team.
As I know, as somebody who used to have to grind through Mountain West Network YouTube videos and whatnot.
Hey, you loved my Player of the Week videos,
Right.
baby.
Remember those? Like watching those? You used to do them all, right? Like track and
All of
field
them.
and all that
Oh, yeah.
garbage? Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a long
Tennis,
time ago.
golf,
Yep.
swimming and diving. I was your go-to gal. But as for today in baseball,
Giants and Cubs.
Cubs.
All right. So Robbie Ray, Ben Brown, winds blowing in. So everybody freak out. Busy day for both bullpens yesterday, as we're kind of alluding to. Giants use 6 guys out of the pen. Cubs use 7. So keep that in mind too. But this to me, it's about the starting pitching matchup. It's pretty interesting. Strong swing and miss stuff from Robbie Ray. We can go through the numbers. We know him, right? He 29% whiff rates in the 75th percentile, 25.9% K rate in the 74th percentile. He's Robbie Ray. Also has command issues, as we know. Really below average, though, when it comes to some of the hard contact stuff. And you look at the underlying metrics, the 3.05 ERA, very good, but a 4.28 FIP. I think this Cubs team can get to him, despite the fact that this is a group that despite the fact that the wind is blowing in. So I like this Cubs lineup. I think that Ray is showing some signs that he could probably get got by some of the better ones. Cubs second and weighted on base average, slugging against left-handed pitching as well. And Brown's been pitching fine. Solid strikeout profile. Somewhat unlucky on balls in play. 380 BABIP and a home run to fly ball ratio of 10. Shouldn't worry about that today with the wind blowing in. So think there's a strong case to be made here for the Cubs.
Okay.
And if you want to lay that half run in the first 5 inning, which is what I ended up doing here with Chicago, that is what I got at plus 105. So Cubs minus a half run, first 5 is something I did here in this one.
Okay, full game, laying the run line plus 142, minus 166 on the Chicago money line here. The Red Sox have dropped 3 in a row in 5 of their last 6, but they're a short favorite today with Tanner Houck on the hill. Run total 9.5. They're favored minus 135 on the money line. Rangers plus 114.
So I think there's a lot of interesting angles to this game. The first of which is the Texas Rangers. How about this? So they fire their offensive coordinator, hitting coach, whatever, Donnie Ecker, the other day. In the 2 games we've seen them play since firing him, they have scored 14 runs, have gone 28 of 73, which is a 383 batting average as a team. They've got about 3 extra base hits or so, and they're 10 to 24 with runners in scoring position. So, did the firing work? Or is it just like 2 random games of just hot offense? It's going to be pretty interesting to tell, but it's always pretty interesting when you get a firing like that, and then the thing you were doing poorly all of a sudden gets a lot better the second the guy is out of the building. So we'll see if that manifests again here today. The other is, my guy Tyler Mahle is getting a start here today. 1.19 ERA, 2.50 FIP. I bring that up, and I don't know if you remember, brought this up the last time too. But the market's been, I think, anti-Mahle for the most part when you look at the way that the market has moved against him. Here today, we saw an overnight Red Sox minus 122. Current numbers right now, again, like minus 128, minus 130. So the market is consistently kind of going against Mahle. And here's the thing. They've lost his last 3 starts, but he has been fine. 18 innings pitched, $1.50 ERA, 269 fielding independent. So the market seems to be fading Mahle to an extent, but I think he's been proving them wrong, but the results have not been there. So I'm going to be interested to see if that's going to be the case. And also just Houck's been a mess. I mean, he's been getting taken deep. His pitching has been awful. He's given up nearly 1.8 home runs every 9 innings. Home run to fly ball ratio is atrocious of over 20%. One would think that comes down at some point, but if this Texas Rangers offensive spark is real over the last 2 games, and Mahle continues to pitch the way that he is, I don't know if my guys get enough respect here. So be curious to see where the market ends up here with this about 12-cent move in favor of Boston.
Okay, from atrocious to amazing, that is Max Fried. And his numbers, he's on the hill for the New York Yankees today. 6-0, 101 ERA. Laying minus 185 if you're backing him in the Yankees today against Dylan Cease in the San Diego Padres. Run total here sitting at 8. Anything stood out to you? I mean, with these pitchers, I feel like that 8 is about right from the total perspective. But what do you think?
I was going to say, it sounds like something sticks out to you.
No.
Oh, okay. No, I think you're right. Like, look, these are 2 really nails pitchers for the most part. Dylan Cease, as we know, the numbers are better than what is, I think, on the surface. So this is what I think is going to be the interesting aspect of this matchup. Over 33 2/3, Cease on the surface has been awful, but a 5.61 ERA with a 3.35 fielding independent, Stormy. That 2-run difference is something that I'm always going to gravitate toward because there's something underlying here that would tell you that maybe he is deserving of a better fate. He's not really giving up home runs. If you look at it from the walk standpoint, it's a little high, but the batting average on balls in play is getting a little unlucky. If he can get that down a little bit here, and of course here comes the BABIP King and Aaron Judge, who continues just every time he puts a ball in play, it's going to hit, but I think Cease is a guy maybe worth backing here, despite the fact that Fried has really been a lot better, and the initial metrics would paint a negative picture. I actually think Cease might be one of these guys that, again, you're looking for that differential. You're looking for some of those buy low opportunities, if you will, and this might be one of them. So where are we at right now? I think current number, what are we at, plus 160? And we're starting to see that come down. We saw Fried open minus 180. I think that's really, like, even at plus 160, some spots are still there. I think that's worth looking at for Cease.
Would you be interested at all in, like, taking San Diego plus the 1.5 for the game, minus 135, or is that too juicy for that?
I think it's a cheap price. I mean, but again, like, so I'm lazy, and I don't want to worry.
Fives.
Yeah, for the most part. So if anything, like, you can take, let me double check to see where this is at, but the plus a half run in a first 5 might be pretty interesting to look at if we believe that Cease is going to put his team in position to potentially win this game.
Okay. Last game against New York yesterday, they lose 12-3, but that was their first loss after a 5-game win streak. They've been playing good baseball. I like that angle for sure. How about the Atlanta Braves today, taking on the Reds? Hunter Green and Grant Holmes going head-to-head in this one. Braves on a 3-game win streak, including taking the first 2 in this 4-game set against Cincinnati. Price minus 122 for the Braves at home. Reds available plus 102, run total 7.5.
And the plus the half run in the first 5 is minuse 110, so it's pretty palatable.
I like that.
Yeah, if you're going to bet.
See, I think that
See?
you're giving me ideas, sir.
All right, so what are we doing here? Oh, yes, great. So this is, I don't know if you remember this. We brought this up at the beginning of the week, maybe last week. But one of the odd anomalies that had popped up when you were looking at it was like the Reds away from home numbers offensively versus what they were doing at home and whatnot. And yeah, they have not been good on this current road trip. It's been pretty bad for Cincinnati. Let's see. They've lost 4 straight. Obviously, they're 2-6 in their last 8. They have 1 run in their last 19 innings at Atlanta this series. They have 2 runs in their last 28 innings overall. They've been atrocious on offense. Braves have now won 3 straight, starting to turn things around. What I'm going to be interested in is, obviously, one, if the Cincinnati Reds and their abysmal lineup can do something here against Holmes. But the other part is whether or not a guy like Hunter Green continues to do what he's been doing, because he's got a 2.53 ERA. He's been brilliant. His last 3 starts, Stormy, he's got a 5.40 ERA, a 6.28 FIP, and he has given up 6 home runs. Like, Green has been actually all of a sudden just been a pinata and given up some really hard contact, some really long balls. And so you wonder if maybe this is just something that's a blip on the radar the last few, or if this is something that's going to start to strike him here a little bit. But I'm going to be very interested to see if Green, against a Braves team and lineup that has been playing better, is all of a sudden going to continue this issue that we've seen in terms of giving up home runs here tonight, because he is getting market respect, as he should. He's a very good pitcher. But if the run issues persist with him, that's going to be pretty interesting. We saw this open -112. And right now, I think we're looking at, flip of favorites, and I would agree with that. I think Green is deserving of some respect, but to make this Reds lineup, even with Green on the hill, a road favorite, I thought was pretty strong.
I know you don't have a bet in it, but any chance the Angels can win as an even money dog at home today against Jose Barrios?
They don't exist. The Angels are not a baseball team, so I don't know what you would ask of me for that for. No, look, their lineup is awful. Yusei Kikuchi is supposed to be like the guy that's was supposed to be, hey, big offseason acquisition. Let's see if you can maintain what you did, especially at the tail end of last year. 4.21 ERA, 5.06 fielding independent. The guy has been awful. The command has really been a big issue for Kikuchi, and I don't know if I would trust that that's going to be the case. So if I'm like around later and if I check out like Profit X or something like that, then I'll probably maybe
they are offering the best odds on baseball all season long.
You know, I hear they're a peer-to-peer sports exchange program, and you can check that out. 40-plus states, the first of its kind in the United States. You're going to be able to make your sports picks against other group of fans rather than against sports books. Exchange guarantee of best odds on average by 10 to 20%. You can even request your own odds. Download ProfitX with a code VSIN, earn 20% or $200 in profit cash over your first month.
Yeah, we got to make sure we get the codes right for the people.
VSIN. There you go.
To get the profit cash. Nationals still up 3-0. We are scoreless in the other 2 games underway, but keep tabs on that for you the rest of the way. Scott Reichel is going to join us coming up next as we dive into the NBA slate tonight. He's got a handful of props that could be worth a look. You won't want to miss it.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSIN, the Sports Betting Network.
Double-digit home favorites in the NBA postseason on deck coming up tonight as we welcome you back to Money Moves on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Stormy Buonantony and Jonathan Von Tobel with you. Although home court and those favorites have not been having a lot of success thus far, including for the Boston Celtics and OKC Thunder, who are in that spot tonight. To help us break it all down, excited to welcome in Scott Reichel of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network with us here via the Progressive Guest Line. You can follow him on X at Reichel Radio. What have you made of the chaos that we've seen here in the NBA so far? Home court, especially to start round 2, has not mattered at all.
Yeah, I've made some jokes on the podcast that it's home court disadvantage because it seems like all the home teams can't actually win a game at this point. What have I done with it? A lot of live bets. A lot of teams down 20 that find themselves back in a competitive game recently. It is pretty bizarre. It's the first time in NBA history that the road team has actually won game 1 in all 4 series of the second round. I can't really explain it. It's kind of just insane to think about how road teams have just been so dominant lately, even if you want to go back to Game 7 with the Warriors and Rockets series in the first round. Definitely unique, but I'm not complaining about it because you've gotten a lot of great live betting opportunities if you pick the right spots and the right teams to follow. So it's resulted into some very competitive and very fun endings of games. But for bettors, honestly, it's pretty tough to lay a bunch of points now because you don't really trust how much home court actually matters anymore.
Yep. All right, so let's go to tonight in Boston. I know you got some player props, but from a side standpoint, any expectations for a bounce back for the Celtics here this evening?
I do think at the end of the day, I like Boston early in this game. I feel like first half, first quarter is probably worth a look there. They were good early. That's how they went up so many points. Problem was when you live by the 3 so heavily, you're going to die by the 3 on occasion. That's what we ended up seeing in game 1. They just wouldn't go to the basket. And you saw the Knicks come back. Brunson had a great fourth quarter. Anunoby was great. But I do think Boston at the end of the day is still a better team. It's why they were 4th in the regular season against the Knicks. It's why they are viewed so highly compared to the Knicks in the futures market entering the series with the series price, etc. Boston should bounce back, but I prefer betting on them early in this game. With Missoula, they've had an issue blowing 20-point leads for a while at this point. I'd rather take them early in the spot. Give me the Celtics first quarter, first half. I think they jump them early, and hopefully for their sake, they hold on in the second half of game 2.
Gotcha.
You're someone who I know buys into the prop markets as well when it comes to a lot of these individual games. What was your favorite prop for Celtics Knicks that stood out to you?
Yeah, so I actually have 2 that kind of stood out. I had Jason Tatum over 9.5 rebounds at -111. Kind of have to go back to it. He's had at least 14 rebounds in 3 of his last 5 games. Had at least 10 rebounds in 2 of his last 3 games against the Knicks. Had 16 rebounds in game 1. Definitely took it upon himself to do his part in trying to battle the Knicks on the boards. We know with Thibodeau, they are going to crash the glass pretty heavily in all the help they can get. Porzingis, I'm assuming he's going to play in this game. I know that he's technically questionable, but he was a shoot-around this morning. I think Tatum will play. Like his activity on the boards, and I do think there's some value there at 9.5. Also, like Derek White, points and assists at 19.5. He's had at least 21 PA in 8 of his last 9. He's had at least 21 PA in 5 straight against the Knicks. Shot the ball horribly in game 1. Still went over. He had 19 points, and he had 2 assists. I like the PA there for White at 19.5 at -112.
Anything for Mikal Bridges?
Yes, I liked Bridges as well. This one I wasn't as high on as the other 2, but I still like it. I like the Mikal Bridges over 6.5 RA. When you're going to play 51 minutes out of a possible 53 in game 1, Thibodeau wants him on the floor as much as possible. And I do think that when I'm talking about the Knicks crashing the glass, Bridges did a pretty good job in that area. He has had at least 5. He's had at least a 7 RA in 5 straight games. And in that 51-minute performance in game 1, he had 13 RA. Just think 6.5 is too low for a guy that never leaves the court. So I'll take the over solely based on usage.
Okay, let's shift gears to this OKC Nugget series where we were talking about it earlier. The Nuggets just won't die. Every time that you think that they're finally going to lose a set or lose a game, they somehow come storming back. Nikola Jokic was fantastic. We see the clutch play once again. What's the expectation for them tonight?
Yeah, so I actually think Denver is being a bit disrespected here. It's a really weird matchup because the Thunder are so much deeper than this team. The Nuggets have about 5.5, 6 guys in their entire rotation, yet they keep winning games, as you said before. But the main issue that the Thunder ran into was kind of twofold for me. 1, they couldn't rebound. Got out rebounded by 20. Joker had a monster 20-plus rebound game. 2, the Thunder have had so many blowout wins that they might not actually be that good in close games to end the fourth quarter. The offense got a bit stagnant there. Jalen Williams had some playoff issues over the years, was not very good in game 1. Chet was not great either. The thing about Denver, they hang around. They'll hang around and then let Joker try to take over games late and find ways to either backdoor the game or even let the other team self-destruct entirely. I thought the Dagnall fouling situation was a joke, and doubling down on it in the press conference was an even bigger joke. But I think Denver can hang in there for this game. 10.5 feels like a lot for a team that I'm still not sold on when it comes to closing games. And if you load up on Shea and dare other guys to step up, are OKC's guys going to step up? I don't really know the answer to that. I feel like we're hopeful that they will, but that's definitely not exactly something that I'm feeling great about. So at first glance, I actually like Denver plus the points. I think 10.5's a bit high. Was kind of interested in the prop market, though, but I do think 10.5 feels pretty steep when, once again, home court apparently means nothing for every single team. So
is it too easy to just ladder some Jokic rebound props today or what?
Oh, that's where I was going.
Yeah, right.
I like Joker, the rebounds at 13.5. I saw -105. He had 18 each of the last 2 games against the Thunder, 22 in game 1. It's why they got Hartenstein. They did whatever they could to try to deal with Joker, and he had 40-plus points and 20-plus rebounds. So it didn't really work out that well. I think Joker should be in line for a good rebounding game. I agree with you about the ladder if you want to go up to even like 17 or 18. I don't hate it. He's never going to leave the floor unless they get blown out, basically. And at that point, all the overs are going to lose anyway. But I do think Joker should be in line for another monster game. Maybe not 40 and 20 massive, but I'll settle for a 30 and 17. And that's a pretty good game as well. So I like the Joker rebounds too.
So is this a game then where the stars show up under the bright lights on both sides in your mind?
I hope for OKC. I mean, the thing about Shea is that we know how good he can be offensively. The efficiency hasn't really been there in the postseason so far. His points, though, are pretty high, in my opinion, at around 33.5. I actually like the under on the points at around minus 120. He has had less than 34 in 13 of his last 16 games. He's had less than this number in 4 of the 5 playoff games. And Denver's defended him decently. He has had less than 34 in 4 of his last 5 games against the Nuggets. But watching the comeback in that fourth quarter, Denver kind of switched to, I don't want to say a zone, but they definitely shifted a lot of guys over to Shea's side of the floor, trying to dare J-Dub, trying to dare Chet to beat them. And they couldn't do it. So I actually am wondering if Denver's main adjustment over the course of the entire game is to do whatever they can to load up on Shea, kind of like what Dallas did last year in that playoff upset in that series. I think I expect Shea to assist a bit more, but I think Denver's main game plan is let's dare the guys who have been kind of unproven in the postseason so far to beat us again. So I do think for Denver, they don't have a choice because they need Murray and they need Joker to have solid games no matter what because they don't have any bench. For OKC, though, I do think Shea can have a solid game like we saw in game 1, but it's more well-rounded. I think the points are a bit high here. 33.5 feels pretty high to me. I'll go with the under there on Shea points.
Real quick, what do you think of Holmgren's role in this series, considering he gives up about 1 million pounds to Jokic? I think it was a minus 14 or 15 in the game as well. Looked like maybe he didn't have a bigger role here, but what do you think?
Yeah, I thought it was kind of bizarre that they were putting Chet on him as the immediate matchup for Joker. I thought he'd be more of the roamer, more of the helper there, where they would put Hartenstein on him. The one area that I do like Chet for props is defense. I like his steals and blocks at 3.5 tonight. We saw that even though he was not very good offensively, did miss the 2 free throws, and I feel like the underrated missed dunk, which kind of came back to bite them as well over the course of that game. Defensively, though, he was very good. He had 4 blocks, he had 1 steal. I think that 3.5 steals and blocks is pretty reasonable. He's been good against the Nuggets in that area too. Chet, it's kind of in a weird spot because when you're looking at the Nuggets defense, it feels like they're trying to kind of load up protecting the middle for Shea, which does also limit what Chet wants to do. He can't shoot from the outside. Offensively, though, I think we'd agree he's been up and down so far in the postseason. But defensively, he's definitely noticeable because of his length, because of his activity. And I do think if Joker is going to keep trying to either hit his mid-range floater, trying to crash the glass for 60 rebounds, and maybe get some putbacks in there with Gordon too. My main focus on Chet is for defense in this one, so I'll go with the defensive props here. I'll go with Chet steals and blocks. I think it was around plus money, actually, but I think 3.5 is a bit low. I'll go with the over on that.
Only about 45 seconds left, but I am curious with the news today about Steph going down with the hamstring injury with Golden State. The Cavs also have a handful of injuries. Which of those two teams do you think has the better likelihood of coming out of their series, or are those injuries too impactful?
I think the better likelihood, it's really tough here because the Cavs lost both home games, but I don't know if home court actually matters. I think I'll have to go with the better chance being Cleveland. I know they won game 1 without Steph. Steph's going to be out for a week minimum. That's minimum, too. It could be longer. We don't really know. No offense to Buddy Hield, but I kind of want to see a bit more supporting cast help. And I know Hield's been great. I understand Butler can carry occasionally. The rest of that roster is not great. And we saw it against the Rockets. The Cavs at least have enough firepower to win high-scoring games. Hopefully Garland comes back. Hopefully Mobley comes back, too. But that team's very, very good. Golden State barely survived Houston. Now Curry's out indefinitely. It's a rough spot for Golden State.
It's a fair point. Thank you so much for the time, Scott. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Scott Reichel, everybody. Make sure you check out the NBA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. The Cavs are, by the way, a 1.5-point favorite coming up in the game Friday in Indiana. Golden State getting 10, their first shot without Steph in Minnesota. We're going to take a quick timeout when we come back. Rounding out the day. This show went fast. We got our best bets coming up after this.
Your money moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
All right, we're wrapping up this Wednesday edition of Money Moves live in downtown Las Vegas. Circa Resort and Casino. He's JVT. I'm Stormy Buonantony. And it is time, what everybody waits for every day, is the bets. Where are we officially placing our money today? We got a handful of options with the NBA and NHL postseason rolling on. We got plenty of baseball, 3 games underway right now. And look out Nationals as the Cubs have tied things up, as the Cleveland Guardians, have tied things up 3-3 here.
Yes.
So there's that.
Yes, there is that. There are sporting events happening as we currently speak. but everything else has been not as entertaining as what we have seen between Cleveland and Washington. So runners on second and third at the top of the 6th inning.
All right.
Should have bet it. Whatever's cashed, we should have bet it. Yeah.
I know there's a couple baseball games, though, that you did get involved in coming into this evening slate. So as we get to our best bets presented by G-Bank, the official bank of VSiN, what are you looking at?
Yes, right. Presented by G-Bank, the official bank of VSiN. Got to give him another pop. Let's go Cubs first off. This is the one that was made on the overnight, but half the run, first 5, plus 105. Kind of going back to what we talked about with Robbie Ray. I'm going to take my shot against Robbie here. I think there's some numbers that would paint a less than flattering picture about Robbie, and I think that the Cubs lineup is going to be able to do what it does against left-handed pitching, which is get after him. Yes, wind's blowing in, but I don't need homers and dongs and whatnot. I just need the Cubs to lead by 1 or more runs by the time the 5 innings conclude, and I think they can do that against Robbie, whose contact numbers have been pretty poor here, and the walks, of course, are always going to be there. So Cubs, first 5 minus a half run at plus 105. One of 2 baseball bets. I also did as well roll with the Pods, the Friars, the Fathers, plus the half run and minus 110. Again, Cease has not pitched well, but underlying metrics would tell you that he is deserving of better, some of what we have seen so far in these early goings. Think he can do it. Think they can stay inside of the half run. Fried's awesome, but I trust this Padres lineup, and I trust that Cease's good fortunes will start soon. And maybe it's going to start here, but he's the type of guy that I'm always kind of looking for, right? Those run differentials and whether to buy low or sell high. So we'll try to find this as a buy low opportunity. Take the half run at minus 110 in the first 5 with the Padres.
Okay, I'm going to go to the NHL. Big shocker, I'm sure, to you. And
they're excited.
Going back to another save prop, although yesterday, RIP Aiden Hill's save prop lands right on 24. The prop's 24 and a half, and he gives up those goals.
Come on, buddy.
Come on, man. Just stop one of those.
Just one.
One of them. Meanwhile, Connor Hellebuyck tonight for the Jets, I just thought this number was ridiculously low at 22.5, and I get he's been pulled in a handful of games, so that's been adjusted accordingly. The playoff numbers haven't been good. But like I've said to you, and I said on Gil's show earlier repeatedly, I think potentially Connor Hellebuyck found a little something in overtime that can inject some confidence in him. He talked after that Game 7 about what a mental grind that opening series was, but he feels that he can build off the way he closed it. And knowing what this guy is capable of, I feel like he's going to play better. Now, while I think he's going to play better, I also think the Dallas Stars are going to come into this game thinking that he won't, that he's ripe for the picking, and are going to be firing shots on net. Okay. Plus, you pair into the fact that the Jets did just play a grueling physical series defensively, probably a little tired, a little fatigued coming into this one. So could be getting more shots through them, I imagine. So I feel like the volume will be there more so for the Stars, and that Connor Hellebuyck will stop more of them. So at 22.5, I even think an alt 25 plus saves at plus 150 could be worth a look here too.
Can I ask you the overarching narrative here for this series seems to be, oh, poor Winnipeg, grinder of a series. Now they have to take on Dallas. Dallas didn't just skate through that series against Colorado. I get there's an extra day between, right? So they get the extra day, but I feel it's somewhat surprising that the narrative around this is man, what a slog for Winnipeg. I was I don't know. I watched Dallas have to come back on Saturday in a really big way too.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they both had to come back and win Game 7s, but I think the style of play with which they had to play against the Blues and kind of it was much more of a physical grind, I think, than what the Colorado Avalanche brought to Dallas. And now Dallas is going to have 2 guys back from injury who are incredibly important for what they do. Jason Robertson and Miro Heiskanen were both on the ice over the weekend. I haven't checked the latest update on them today, but I would anticipate, Pete DeBoer has said that they're going to play in the series, so whether it's this game or beyond, Dallas has an upper hand in that spot. Meanwhile, Scheifele, Morrissey, you're missing some pieces for the Jets, but I feel like defensively, the Jets could struggle a little bit, which in turn, more shot volume getting in Connor Hellebuyck's face and Hellebuyck stopping more shots.
All right. Heiskanen I saw was not playing today for sure.
Okay.
So there's that at least.
Is Robertson though? I feel like he was looking up last I checked. He took line rushes yesterday.
Jason Robertson on the ice for the Stars, optional morning skate, game time decision. And the same reporter that I am witnessing here says Miro Heiskanen out tonight, but is skating today. And I'm watching him do tricks with a puck.
I think the fact, though, that
I said that, by the way. She did not.
I think the fact that they are making the distinction that he's out and not saying that with Jason Robertson would indicate that he's going to play today. So there we go there. And then I I've been kind of banging the drum for the Florida Panthers to bounce back in this spot, especially with the news that Stolarz is out for this one. I do think that it is a downgrade to have Joseph Wall in net. Minus 142, the money line price for Florida. I think regulation could be worth a look at plus 115. The puck line, if you're interested in that, plus 180. This is a team that is battle tested. They know how to bounce back. I feel like they found their footing once Stolarz went out in that last game, and if they can start anything like they finished, they'll be in good shape today.
All right, G-Bank Best Bets. Get the G-Bank Visa Signature Card today. Most credit cards treat sportsbook and gaming transactions as cash advances. It's even when you put your own money on the card. G-Bank treats gaming transactions as purchases, so you're saving up to 3 to 5% on cash advance fees on gaming transactions right there. Also with G-Bank, you're earning 1% cash back rewards on all eligible sportsbook and gaming transactions and 2% cash back rewards on all eligible purchases. Apply now at Visa.com/GBank. That is Visa.com/GBank. Be like Stormy. You can even do a veteran and then take your friend out with the G-Bank Visa Signature Card.
Be like Stormy.
Yeah.
Had a good time up there at Legacy Club shooting that commercial, by the way. It was nice.
You see the remodel of the entrance. It looks nice.
I haven't seen that.
Oh, you didn't
I
notice
haven't
this?
been up there.
Oh, no, I mean like the entrance to Legacy Club right beyond this wall behind us. Like
No, so I knew that they were. Is it done?
it looks almost pretty done.
I
Yeah,
haven't
it
gone
looks nice.
over there because that's where, it's a little inside baseball for you, that's where the restrooms are on this
Correct.
level. And I just thought that the construction was still going on. So I've been going upstairs to go to the restroom instead
it's
of on this
open
level.
now.
So
Looks great.
I haven't seen it yet. I'll have to check it out. Last couple minutes, I want to just remind people of some injury updates as it pertains to the playoffs. We got the news earlier this hour that Steph Curry with that hamstring grade 1 sprain is going to be out at least a week. So expect him to miss a couple games in this series, which obviously advantage Minnesota Timberwolves. As for tonight's game with the Boston Celtics, Kristaps Porzingis is listed as probable with the Celtics, a 10.5-point home favorite looking to bounce back in game 2. We just mentioned the hockey with Stolarz being unavailable. Looks like Freddie Anderson. We saw him last night. He's doing much better. And the Golden Knights, Alex Pietrangelo missed yesterday unexpectedly he was a late scratch with an illness. The Golden Knights media has not been taken today to find the latest update on him.
All right. Yeah, the key for Curry is he's reevaluated in a week. That's always the tough one, right? It's not, he's going to be back in a week. No, they'll check on him again in a week. Now, one would assume that they're going to get him back as soon as possible, but it was when a guy goes down the way Curry did, which was like immediately, he was like, no, I got to get out of here. It's going to be a serious one. So we'll see if it's going to be more than that week. I would venture a guess that maybe it is going to be a little bit past that 1 week timeline we're being given right now.
What's your expectation on the health of the Cleveland Cavaliers as well as they now shift to Indiana? They're still 1.5-point favorite in that game, but we haven't seen Darius Garland, no Evan Mobley last game, DeAndre Hunter.
I mean,
even Donovan Mitchell saying he drops 48 and is still like, I'm hurting.
I mean, he was doing everything.
Yeah.
Right? So I would expect he's probably just got the bumps and bruises, and he'll be fine, at least in terms of availability. I'm going to say at least 2, maybe all 3 of them play. You would expect you're going to get one of them back for this game. You're going to get the extra time, so that's good. They're not going to play again until the 9th, so that's going to really help them out in terms of getting their bumps and bruises healed and ready to go. I don't know if they'll be fully healthy, but one would expect that maybe they're going to have one of these guys back. It's going to be interesting to see which one it's going to be. And like Garland, too, I think is like the big enigma here. Again, like he supposedly practiced over the weekend, and then all of a sudden now he's not practicing. So maybe there was some sort of setback, but they're going to need, I think Garland, he's not a good defensive player, but Donovan Mitchell desperately needs somebody else to create some offense for this team.
After the Pacers were such a big series favorite, they're now plus 175 dogs in the set, down 0-2. Pacers minus 205.
I mean, you're up 2-0. You're going back home. It makes a lot of sense. And given the injury situation as well, I think you make the argument the price should probably be higher.
Sheesh, my goodness. Other updated series prices for you on the way out. Boston minus 340. Knicks available plus 270 if you think they can continue to upset Boston. OKC minus 290. Denver plus 235. And then the Minnesota Timberwolves with that Steph Curry news bet out from minus 155 this morning to minus 185 right now. Golden State plus 155. That's a wrap for us today on Money Moves. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. But for now, stick around on VSiN. Prop Points with Nick Whalen and Jeff Erickson is next. They're going to be joined by golf betting expert Len Hochberg to break down his best bets and sleepers for the tournament coming up this weekend. You won't want to miss it.